one is as follows. What are your thoughts on the government's plans to ban kids bringing smartphones into schools?
I'm for it because I've got 2 girls myself, one secondary school age and 6th form. And I think that children nowadays can be quite feral and quite nasty, and I think they've got too much access to the internet to be able to bully, to manipulate, to discriminate. It's disgusting, so I'm with it.
You can clap.
I concur. I definitely concur. Take it out. And not just the schools, we as parents, because I've got a whole heap of kids, I'm not going to tell you the number, but I've got a whole heap. And at the same time, no, don't judge me because I mind them. At the same time, we as parents don't have to wait for the government to do something. Make we do it. At the end of the day, I've seen so much antisocial behavior, lacking social skills. Kids don't know how to talk to big people again, and a lot of it is coming from the phone. Take it away. I ain't giving them give them a little idiot, give them a little £15 one that you can go on, but give them that and call them and make them sure they answer, and that's it. They don't need a whole heap, you know what I mean?
Firstly, apologise for the coarse voice. It's a weekend, so we know how it goes. But yeah, agreed, concur, all of the above. I'm old school, I'm from the era. I got my first phone when I was about 16, 3310 Nokia. Didn't have no internet, no nothing. And back in the day, you didn't get a chance to film something. If you missed it, you missed it. And like you said, Ash, that there's too much bullying going on. It's horrible. And I think kids are focusing on the wrong things. They're right, they're antisocial, they can't talk to each other, they don't know what to do. So I'm all for it. I'm 100% for it.
I think for me, the question was banning phones in schools. Now for me, children are going to have phones outside of schools. They're going to have phones inside of schools. So the bullying, the humiliation, the taunting, it can all happen 24 hours a day. When you think about children having phones in schools, you have to think about there needs to be some control in schools so that when children come into schools, they know they're not allowed to use it, and there are sanctions if they use it. However, a lot of parents, sometimes you send your children to school and you don't know if your child gets to school. So there is a safety element. So to say that you're going to ban it completely in schools, I'm not so certain about that. I don't think having a phone stops a child necessarily from learning. I think that parents need to control their children, the amount of times that they sit on phones, they sit on sit on all of those gadgets. I think you need to limit your children. And also you need to make sure that when you're having dinner, when you're having time with your family, you remove those phones. So for me, it starts in the home, it goes and it extends to the school, but I'm not certain I would feel happy removing a phone from my child, because sometimes you need to have that contact with your child, especially if you're working and you need to know if your child's got home from school. So for me, I'm not so certain.
I agree with my fellow advocates. I don't think there's one response. I feel that my first response was this is a social indictment for the fact that the government is now making decisions for our children. I think that says a lot about parenting and where it is currently, that the government is making these decisions to ban children bringing phones to school. Equally, I agree with what Sis just said around parents and support, and actually, rather than, I think from a national perspective, we've joined the digital age, and it was great, but nobody thought of the consequences of joining the digital age. So actually what we're doing is closing the gate after the horse has bolted, and what we're doing is making the children the scapegoats for it. Children didn't invent the internet. So for me, it's quite intersectional, but I think that, if the government has to tell us or act in that way for our children in schools, I think that says more about what's going on as a society than it is about children having phones in school.
Thank you.
I think that is kind of starts with the parents still, to be fair, because, you know, even my grandson, like when he was about 3 or 4, the things he could do on the phone, he could do things that I've never thought of, and as well, it's an easy option. I've seen it all the time. People on there, kids in the pram, baby's got iPad watching Peppa Pig, watching this, watching that. Like, so it's easy, isn't it? So it starts with the parent, to be fair, because you give your kids a device to keep them quiet. You know what I mean? I'm old school, innit? Do you understand? So, you know what I mean? Remember, we used to have the encyclopedia, the Britannia Encyclopedia, and you know what I mean? You're giving your kids a phone, they probably can't even count to 100, and you've given them a phone. So it starts with us, to be fair. If we were dealing with it properly, the government will have to step in now and regulate our thing. You understand?
You are watching a master at work.
Would you say the Afro-Caribbean community is homophobic?
Going to keep my answer very short and sweet and say yes.
In my opinion, is yes. Is it right? It's debatable. And I tell you why. I can see you saying it's not debatable. I'll tell you why it's debatable, right? It's not debatable if we're homophobic or not. That's a yes. But is it right? And in my opinion, I was raised, most of us in it, we were raised in a Caribbean household, and we know the traditions. I stick to my traditions strongly. I'm quite a traditional person. When it comes to this topic, I understand the attitude, because as I've got older, I've been more conscious and more aware of our roots in terms of slavery, what they used to do to us unwillingly. Our colonizers gave us the law of buggery, and we now uphold it. But is it right in today's society? That's another debate. But my personal opinion is this: I'm not homophobic in its traditional sense that I'm not scared of a gay person. I'm not. I'm just don't touch me phobic. You understand me? If you've got your lane, stay in your lane. I won't have no problem with you. You understand? I'm in mine. Don't come and tell me your stories. Don't tell me what you got up to on the weekend. I won't tell you what I got up to. Everybody has their preference. Everybody has their... I'm not going to stand... I'll tell you what it is. I've got, as a big man with children and businesses and all that kind of thing that we're trying to achieve, right? I've got too much on my mind to worry about what a grown person is willingly doing. Willingly doing. He's handing over his backside willingly. So why am I going to now fight him? You understand? If someone forces you to do something, then we as a society should step in. And that's where my gripes do kind of stem with our society, because we stay silent on certain other things. And for me, the young girl thing that is in our society is very, very quiet. But we burn a big fire. Boom, Bye Bye was a big hit for this situation. But when it comes to young girls and whatever else, hey little girl, I was tempted to touch. Oh, what were you talking about? You understand? Those things are quiet because it's rife in our community. So me personally, burn a fire where the fire really deserves to go. If two willing people are doing it, let them make them do it. At the end of the day, it's God's job to burn them out. It's not mine. Because at the end of the day, if I'm sick, if one of my children is sick, or something like that, and the specialist to cure my child or me is on the next side, let's just say, he's still got to cure me. He's got to cure me. I'm not looking at what you do behind closed doors. I'm looking at how good you are at your profession today. You understand? So I think sometimes our attitudes can be a bit, but there, and all that kind of stuff. But listen, the older I've got, I don't business what you want to do behind your closed doors. Don't bring it to me, and I will leave it there. And I think that's the best way to go about society.
Well said, Ash, well said. I kind of agree with you in the sense that we're focusing as a society, because not everybody in here is homophobic. You have to understand, homophobia is when you are willingly doing something to oppose someone. So you're going out your way to do certain things. And yes, we've got the music, we've got the dance, or we've got the artists, yeah, we've got the boom bye byes, and you know, certain times you can't even play them tunes. But for me, I think we've come a long way as a community, because before now, as a DJ and as a host, I see the gay community out in the dance hall. Before they weren't there. So actually let them express themselves. For me, like I said, do what you're doing. I'm not gonna sit here and say you shouldn't be doing that, or you shouldn't be sleeping and doing whatever you're doing with that man. But I think in terms of being homophobic, yeah, there are people that are and then people aren't. So it's not a blanket to say yes, the Afro-Caribbean community are, because homophobic is a very strong word. Do you understand what I mean? So I think it's what you're doing to those people who are gay or whatever. Do you understand that? That's what homophobia is. It's taking it. But if you've got your opinion, then that's you. And like I said, I see gay man in the dance, I see gay man in the dance. I don't care, do what you're doing. But as a society, it's hard to say. I'm not going to say yes or no. That's not so.
I guess this is it's a big question in a sense that I believe that the black community are homophobic and have been for a long time. But I think over time, we're evolving, we're growing, we're learning, and we're beginning to accept difference. And when I mean difference, we're accepting difference in religion, difference in caste, difference in colour, difference in who you date. So for me, I think the personal self is about accepting people for who they are, as long as they don't impact on me or my family and make me have to step in and say something. There is a debate about whether children should be told about homophobia or gender and different things like that. There's an argument that it's always best to be educated so that you know what could come, what can't come. But there's another sort of school of thought which talks about whether you're telling children too early and you're force-ripening them. But the professional self, I have to work with a lot of people who are different, and I don't have the time to think about what people do, what they say. But if you behave a certain way, I need to be able to tell you that what you're doing is offending people, or someone might feel uncomfortable. But it doesn't just go to homophobia, it goes across the board. Somebody might be Muslim, somebody might wear a cross, and it offends people. I need to be able, the professional self, to say this is what's happening. But does it bother me on a bad day? I don't really care, as long as I look after mine and my own. And I know that sounds quite harsh, but like my friend says, I don't have the time for it. We're all so busy. And you need to be accountable and responsible for what you do. And to be fair, if you think about Luther Vandross, everybody is saying that he was gay. I don't know if he was, but look where he ended up. You know, do we want our people who are different, feel different, want to do different, to end up like that? I'm not so sure.
My answer is no. We're not homophobic. I feel that a lot of these labels have been placed on us. And if you are of Caribbean heritage, we are one of the largest sites of sexual violence throughout history. The very fact that we're here, we're all products of sexual violence. And it's not a far stretch from homophobia. I don't think that sometimes we take into account where we've come from with the buck-breaking plantations that were scattered across the Caribbean. I think the feeling of homophobia is more of a trauma response. And I say that from a therapeutic background. I think also as a Caribbean community, we tend to shy away from what we don't understand, anything that's different. But I wouldn't say by and large we are homophobic. I think anti-homosexuality is something that was placed on us through colonialism. Because if you do your research, you'll find that the whole communities in Africa where women had women and men had men and they still survived and they thrived and whatever. I think when they turned up with their ships, through Christianity, a lot of this Bible bashing was placed on us. And because of colonialism, we have repeated it. And I think it's a label I don't really buy into. And also I think it's quite damaging because as already been said, we have so many young people coming up now who are part of LGBTQ, I want to get it right because I don't want to offend anybody, but a part of an alternative community. And when we other them, they suffer. And I say this as somebody with lived experience. I have a relative who was othered to the extent that, tried to attempt to take their life. I think what we're not good at sometimes is because we don't understand something, we other it to the point of exclusion. And I think that's something that that's a whole different Oprah show, but I wouldn't say that we embrace the term homophobic, but I do agree with your point. I think we've got our priorities wrong, and we're focusing on the wrong thing. The time we're taking to be worrying about who's gay and who's not is the time we could be doing other things.
I'm Jamaican, so I don't think that we are necessarily homophobic, but it's like taught behaviour, isn't it? It's taught behaviour. And for me as a heterosexual man, I'm a bit like the advocate over there, you stay in your lane. For me, maybe I don't understand the extrovertedness of some heterosexual males. I don't really know many. Do you understand what I'm saying, to be fair? But then I do think it's a double standard because, in our community, we would ban out homosexuality, but lesbianism is on the rise in our community, let's be honest with you. Lesbianism's on the rise. I've been out with my partner, and girls are trying to move her up more than a couple of times, to be fair, in front of me, so it's on the rise. So why is lesbianism acceptable and homosexuality is not? Do you understand? So that's where the double standard lies, you get me? But I wouldn't say we are homophobic, just not understanding it, innit? And like you said, it's the extrovertedness of it, innit? It's just, for me, that's what it is for me. It's like the extrovertedness of it. That's what I struggle with. Do what you want, innit? I don't care. Live and let live, innit? You understand? I'm not banning out nobody. LGBTQ, whatever, but me too, all of that. But yeah, just, I struggle with the extrovertedness. That's what I struggle with.
I grew up in a household where it was made clear, if I brought a man home, it's over. My dad would go in the shed and he would chop both of us up. And that was the attitude throughout my whole family, friends, relations, etc., etc. I think as a community we have evolved. I'm not sure my dad has, but as a community we've evolved throughout the years. But are we homophobic? I don't know. If there was a couple of men out there kissing, what would the reaction be? And I think that probably tells you a lot about how people see gay people. So, I grew up in a time where I didn't know what gay was. I've got a couple of friends who, I now know they're gay. When I was younger, they were different. They were, a little bit feminine, a little bit, but now they feel confident to come out and express themselves. And it's like, okay, yeah. Paul's still Paul, but he likes men. Fair enough. Don't see that as an issue. So that's my 2 pence worth. Thanks, sir.
One of the reasons that it's something that we need to work on as a community, even though I say that we're not homophobic, is because in my work with young people who are gang affiliated or who carry out the murder, or something they call serious youth violence, but violence is violence, right? A lot of those young men, when you speak to them, often have feelings of repressed homosexuality that they can't place anywhere within our community. And so they hype up the violence. Some of the savagest young men I've worked with over the last 15 years, when you actually speak to them and you look at their psychology, their psychotherapist chronologies, in there are strong elements of repressed homosexual feelings where they've not been able to place it anywhere because of especially our Caribbean and African heritage. So it is something that I'm glad that we're talking about, to be fair, because when we leave from here in our own way, just kind of check yourself. Everybody has the right to be, and let us just remember, and I just want to say this point, 80 years ago, it didn't matter, we were the people that the white people was talking about. Sometimes we need to remember, just because we're no longer on the menu like first time, remember what it is to be oppressed and have nowhere to go and not be included. And remember that. again, and remember that when you're dealing with our young people, yeah? Our young people are suffering from identity crisis right now out on these streets, on these roads. Any of us schools, anybody that works with young people attest to the fact. And when we have these labels and when we have these attitudes, as Jeffrey's described, what we're doing is what we currently have now, where we, the adults, don't have no skin in the game and leverage with our own black young people on the streets. And part of the reason is because we've alienated them, and we've not been inclusive. And one of the ways it's these things that we have, as Auntie Dawn said, you know, don't bring this here, don't bring this dog here, don't bring a white gal here. All of these things alienate young people and push them further and further away. And then we see things like we did in Clapham the other day. We sit here, we clutch our pearls, and we talk on Facebook about feral children. It's us.
A man loaned his nephew 50k, interest-free, as a wedding gift. The family calls him cheap and say a loan isn't a real gift. What are your thoughts on this? Do they have a point or no?
So I do think they've got a point, but I also think that, thinking of the uncle's perspective, the gift is that there's no interest on the loan. Because if you want to get married, and what you've looked at in order to get married has racked up a bill of 50k, and you don't have that, then you need to reassess that. So I don't really think the family's got an argument, because why are you not giving your son the 50k to get married then? I don't know, I don't get it, but...
Yeah, there are a couple of angles to this question that I sort of, to help me make up my mind. Who is the ungrateful party? The one receiving it or his family members around him? Who's ungrateful? Is it the family?
Based on the question,
Yeah.
the way I'm perceiving it,
Yeah.
is the family looking at the uncle and saying, you're saying that you're lending him 50 grand, so is it really a... But anyway, I'm going to let you, I'm the host.
All right. No, okay. I think I followed the train of thought. If that was me getting married, right, and I went to the bank and I said, can I have 50 grand? And they said, yes, we'll give you 50 grand, interest free. I'll drop on my face. I'll drop on my face and say, look at the luck I've just had. So if my family member doesn't give me that, does that for me, how audacious of me to be ungrateful? I couldn't understand it. So anybody's family members telling him that, no, you must fling back the money and give him, no. He's giving you 50 grand to start your life. That doesn't happen enough in our community, where, you understand? And imagine your uncle has worked his self to get that 50 grand. And he's giving it over to you, and he's saying, I don't want nothing back, just give me back my money when you can. What? And you're gonna look down your nose like that? Please, I want an uncle like that. I want an uncle. There's no ground for you to be ungrateful. None.
Or Ashton, like literally, how dare you? I don't understand that the fact that he's made his hard-earned money and he's saying, do you know what, nephew, here's 50 grand like you said. Clearly, maybe he could have gone to the bank. Who knows, he might have bad credit. Like, how dare you say he's cheap? And maybe it might be a red-eye thing, because they could have done it, said, or, you know, one time people say, oh yeah, but if it was me, but it's not you, you don't have the money, so you can't really chat. So, I don't understand. I think that's really disrespectful if that's a real life scenario. Like me, if I was the uncle, I'll take back my money. All right, fine, let me take it back. Because how dare you tell me that I'm cheap when I've given you 50 grand? Yeah, that's my argument. I don't understand the question.
I think I agree with what my colleagues have just said, but I suppose I'd just like to notch it up a little bit and say that maybe the reason they're saying that he's cheap is because he could be a billionaire, he could be a millionaire. I hear that, it's his money, it doesn't matter, but what I'm saying is that could be the reason why they're saying it. I'm not saying it's right, I'm just saying that there may be more to it than what we've been given. So before I agree, I would love an uncle like that, But there may be more, because sometimes you have to bring culture into it as well. There are certain communities or cultures where it's expected that you give that kind of money, and maybe it's not expected. So I suppose for me, I would be thinking, they might be saying, oh, but you're a billionaire, you got the money. You just gave someone 100 grand, and you're not asking them for the money back. So why are you asking me for the money back? That's the only thing I want to say.
The family is fully bright because it's his money. And as LAWZ said already, listen, let's not talk about how many of us are living on Klarna right now. So credit scores is what I'm getting to. So my point is, it's his hard-earned money. He's giving it, or he's loaning it to his nephew. And for the family to say that he's cheap, he's just, it was a very Caribbean question. It was a very Caribbean question. And notice none of the family couldn't match fund, you know, like that. But they got something to say. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, the family needs to mind their business, mind their own business. What I find a lot of the time, obviously, is families got a lot to say, but nothing really pointless to say. Do you know what I mean? It's pointless to say. Like, if he wants the loan and they've made their agreement, they've made their agreement to, he's gonna lend in 50 grand, no interest, it's between them, like, what is your problem? If he's agreed on that you know, scenario, then by all means, have a beautiful wedding, do you know what I mean? Some families just need to mind the business. Just, that's what I feel. Do you know what I mean?
Thank you. Yeah. My problem with the question is this. If any of my nephews or nieces came to me and said to me, uncle, or whatever, we're getting married, I need a loan to get married. And I said to them, how much you need? And they said 50 grand. I'd ask them whether they were on drugs. Right? And the reason I say that is, I'm not giving you 50 grand to go and get married. Come to me and tell me, uncle, lend me 50 grand to put a deposit on my yard. Yeah? Right? And that's the problem. He hasn't got 50 grand, so he can't get married. Yeah? He's coming to take a loan off you, and tomorrow two of them mash up. And you're 50 grand. No, come to me and say to me, uncle, we've got married, I need to get a yard, can you lend me the money to either get a yard or invest in a business that's going to grow, that's going to pay me the 50 grand. Why do you want to have a wedding for 50 grand when you can't afford it? It's like you see some of the kids now wearing Gucci trainers for £800, £900 and live at home. My child could never come in my yard with £800 trainers and he ain't got a yard. Right, so I think our priorities are wrong. And it starts with, and we keep saying it starts with the parents. Yeah? If your child doesn't see you going to work, he feels he doesn't need to go to work. Right? If your child doesn't see you reading a book, he don't need to read a book. Yeah? But he wants to live a lifestyle that he can't afford. So when you lend him the 50 grand to get married now, he's going to go to the next uncle, lend me 100 grand to get a car, because the wedding costs 50 grand and I've got to keep up appearance. Yeah, so that's all I'm saying. We need to look at our priorities in regards to our children and what they can and can't have.
If he or she pays your rent, are they entitled to a key? Calm down.
You know what? I feel like this is turning into a men's versus women's debate. Because I cannot see me. No, I tell you what. If my other half, and we don't live together, but we're together. If my other half came to me as a one-off and said, can you help me? That doesn't give me an entitlement. But I think if it's a reoccurring thing that me and you have established, that I pay the rent in your house, I should be able to come there when I feel like. That's the way I see it. That's the way I see it. If me and you are in something, there's nothing to hide. We're in something. If she pays my rent, then it's the same. But at the same time, I'm the kind of person, if she pays my rent, it's no, you're going to contribute. We're going to do it together. I couldn't see me just allowing a woman to just pay my rent. There's got to be something going on. But I think as a man, if I took the lead and said, I'm paying your rent, then you've got to know what comes along with this. I have access. And if you agree to me to paying your rent, you're agreeing to me having access. Because if not, then find your own money. Pay your own things.
As a woman, this is my opinion. You can't be the man for me if I need to be paying your rent. That's impossible. And then if he's paying my rent, and we're together, that's my man, that's my husband, yeah man, I got you to have a key to my place. For me, I think that's standard. That's not an issue, because what am I hiding? That's my opinion.
I don't want anyone to pay my rent. For them to turn around and think that they can do what they want with me, that's not going to happen.
And we respect that, but if someone was paying your rent, does he deserve a key?
If we're in a relationship together and we've had that conversation and we're going halves, or you do for me that I do for you, you obviously need to get in the house, don't you? So you need a key.
So he deserves a key?
Pay my rent and give him a key.
Round of applause, round of applause.
If I'm paying for something, I'm entitled to it. So if he's paying my rent, he's entitled to a key. If I'm paying his rent, I'm entitled to a key.
I believe, yes, if a man or a female is paying the other one's rent, they deserve a key. Because if they were paying your mortgage, by rights, they own your yard. So, yes. I'm saying if you're paying rent, but if you was paying the mortgage, yes, they should have a key. I don't see why they wouldn't. You're going to take their money and let them, and you live rent-free. Yes, they should have access fully. Yeah.
I'm going to say, if he's, let's say, my side man and he's giving me money. Can I talk? Can I talk? Can I talk? Can I finish? Can I lie? If he's my side man and he's giving me money, then no, he's not getting a key, because whatever arrangement we've got going on, cool. If he's my man, then yeah, he's gonna have the key, because what we as women also, when we get into relationships, if you're saying you're taking this man's money, then rightfully, now we're sharing property. Like, because what you don't want to do is make your man feel away, because, oh, this is my house. When you get into an argument, this is my house. It's not that, because now I've said, right, cool, we're living together, you've got the key, you're paying rent. This is joint tenancy now. It's joint tenancy. So, yeah, if he's paying my rent, he's going to get the key. If he's my man. We're going to share the responsibility. We're going to share.
Audience, please.
Doesn't matter, I'm elaborating on the question, sorry.
You are.
I am. So, if he's paying the rent, we're both sharing and he's going to have a key, if he's my man. If he's not my man, then no, he's not going to have the key. I'm just saying.
We seem to be going in one direction. It's a man, my man, or my woman, or whatever. What other grounds would somebody be paying somebody's rent? Because for old school, as you grow up, God bless the child that has his own. Yeah? So at the end of the day, if you choose, whoever, whatever sex you are, to pay somebody's rent, it doesn't give you entitlement, because nobody's putting a gun to your head to make you pay for that. So if you're going to pay my rent, thank you. But, hello, you've got no rights. So before you indulge or part with your money from your wallet or your purse, you need to have a contractual agreement and an arrangement and an understanding. And the understanding is you're not getting a key. Simple.
It depends. If I am paying the money to the landlord, I'm paying the money to the landlord, I want a key. If I'm paying the money to my acquaintance, then it's up to her.
Can I
There's a couple of things that have been like left unsaid, but in my opinion, like if my partner's paying my rent and he like we're in this relationship, we're in it together, whatever. Why is it that he can have the key to my house, entitled to have the key to my house, but I can't have access to his? Like that makes no sense to me.
Sorry, in the question, sorry, just to clarify, I haven't got my clipboard with me, but the question didn't go that deep. The question was, and don't hold me completely to ransom, is if a man or woman pays your rent, are they entitled to a key? That's the question.
No, that's just dependent on the person. Like, again, it depends on a whole bunch of things. I feel like the question's too simple.
I'm just going to keep it real. If a man
Audience,
is paying my rent, I'm going out there cutting the key for the front door, the back door and the window.
I think the problem is exactly what this lady said. The question is very simple. Are they entitled to a key? Payment don't entitle you to anything. So you're not entitled to the key. However, when you are getting yourselves involved, whether you're paying for someone's rent or you're taking it, you need to understand the unspoken contractual agreements that you are getting yourself involved in. So, whoever it is, whatever the reason is you're paying for that person's rent, just make sure you've made it very clear your expectations when you pay their rent. Also, when you're collecting the money for your rent to be paid, also make sure you're understanding of the expectations that person is coming with. You start keeping up with fuckeries here. This is all nonsense. We're not going to be doing this, you're going to be entitled to that. We all know the unspoken things behind that. Payment don't entitle you to anything. So make it very clear. I'm paying your rent, and as a result of me paying your rent, this is what I want. Is it acceptable? Yes, then take the money. If it's not, no, keep your money and go about your business.
I do feel like as well, there was somebody, an advocate said that one advocate said that if I'm paying your rent, you're not my man. I feel like we're missing the question here. A relationship, a marriage is about unity and growing together, isn't it? Do you see what I'm saying to you? And then I do feel like as well, leading on to another topic, you're not going to kill me for saying this, but to be fair, the black woman might have unrealistic expectations of the modern day black man, and that's just being real. That's what I feel. You get me? And don't shoot me for saying that still.
The question was, if you pay somebody's rent, whether you're male or female, are you entitled to a key? Right? If I'm having to pay your rent, you haven't got the money to pay your rent. Right? If I'm having to pay your rent, you haven't got the money to pay your rent. You haven't. That's why I'm paying your rent. Hold on. Am I lying? Why? Okay, hold on a second then. Hold on. Why would I be paying your rent if you had the money to pay the rent? No, because you're a thief. Eh? You're taking my money, right, when you got your money to pay your rent. I should only really be paying your rent if I'm helping you out.
People, please.
But anyway, if the way I look at it is, if I'm paying your rent, I'm entitled to a key, right? If you feel that I'm not entitled to a key, then it's not a problem. I will keep my money in my pocket and you can find some other idiot to come and pay your rent. That's all I've got to say, but I think it's just a long thing. Everyone's like, if I'm paying your rent, I'm entitled to a key. Now, whether I choose to use the key or not is really irrelevant, right? But you can't say to me, listen, pay my rent, but you can't come in the yard. Yeah? Yeah, that's it.
Evening.
The question, can I just get the question right? The question was, if he or she pays your rent, does that entitle you to a key? Is that the question? Yes. Right, okay. Paying someone's rent doesn't entitle you to anything. It is my choice if I decide to give you a key. And if I don't give you a key and you don't want to pay my rent, I will find someone else who can do it for me. right? I'm just saying, if the tenancy agreement is in your name, right, and you're paying my rent, you are entitled to a key. Because the tenancy agreement is in your name. The tenancy agreement is in your name. You're paying the money to the tenant, the landlord. If I'm a landlord and I give you a tenancy agreement, you have a key. That's why you're entitled. If you choose to pay her rent, that's up to you. But you're entitled to a key. If the tenancy agreement is in her name and it's not in your name, you're not entitled to have a key. It's a choice. It's a choice. Right? So there are times when you are entitled to, that's because it's in your name, legally. Right? But if it's just her name, then the choice is hers. And I'm just speaking as a landlord. I will give you a key.
Thank you, everybody. Give yourselves a round of applause, please.
Welcome to the debate corner. It's the debate corner.
Right, so one of the advocates are going to come out into the crowd, and one of the advocates are going to pick someone from the crowd. Why is everyone saying no? Don't be spoiled. So the advocate's going to pick someone from the crowd. That person's then going to come up here. We're going to play a tune. When the music stops, you just got to finish the words. Simple things.